Hello everyone and a very good morning to all of you. In this session today, we'll be showing you how you can make your own media player using JavaFX. So, why do we need to make our own media player? In times like this, when everyone is sitting at home and busy binge watching their favorite serials, we might need to create a media player which suits our own needs. We might have some features we might want some features that are not available in most of or some of the media players. So we'll be creating our own media player using JavaFX. So the tools that we'll be using today include NetBeans IDE. We'll use NetBeans IDE to type in the code, and Scene Builder to create our graphical user interface. So without further ado, let's get started. So we'll start with a brief summary about what the assembly is. So the assembly is basically a smart lab which is based in In5 since December 2014, and over the course of around 6 years we have provided around 250 free workshops for the community. The assembly is mainly divided and categorized into the workshops are basically categorized into three different parts: the hack, code, and data science. So hack is basically any workshop dealing with IoT, embedded systems, and hardware. It is categorized as hack. So something relating to Raspberry Pi, or like the previous week the media center created using Raspberry Pi, would come under the category of hack. And then we have code. So any software project using APIs or different frameworks or creating apps, games, anything like that would come under the code category. Lastly, we have data science, and this includes any data science topics like AI, machine learning. And our target audience are students, professionals, and entrepreneurs, and anyone who is interested in attending our workshop is more than welcome. We focus on the smart technology and its practical application. Like today, we are focusing on a practical application of a media player application. And you can connect to us on our forum at members.theassembly.ae. You can also tag us on our social media at Facebook and YouTube at The Assembly, and Twitter and Instagram using our handles at Make Smart Things. So let's begin with a small introduction to JavaFX. So what is JavaFX? JavaFX is a graphics framework for creating graphical user interfaces in Java. It is more powerful than its predecessor, which was Swing. So Swing is mostly replaced nowadays by JavaFX. It is used to create both web applications and desktop applications, and it has the advantage of being lightweight and hardware accelerated. And lastly, it uses FXML. So now FXML will be of great use to us because of the application that we're going to be using today, which is Scene Builder. Scene Builder automatically generates FXML code for us. So we'll look into that later. So why JavaFX? So Oracle provides us with JavaFX Scene Builder, as I was talking before. So this is a visual tool to design GUIs. So rather than typing in code and typing a ton of code to just move a button from left to right or align a button, you can just simply drag and drop elements wherever you want on the screen, and you're done with creating a GUI. That's how simple it is. We'll see later as well when we go through the workshop. You'll get to know more about the Scene Builder. And as I said earlier, it automatically generates FXML code for us. And this opens us to a lot of opportunities to create very appealing GUIs. And lastly, it also has 3D support. So what are we waiting for? Without further ado, let's get started. Let's build our first. So let's start by opening up our NetBeans. Once the NetBeans is open, head on to File, New Project, and make sure you choose JavaFX, and within JavaFX projects you choose Java FXML application. So FXML application, because we will be using Scene Builder which generates code in FXML, so that's why we will need FXML application. Hit and next, then we'll give it a name. So for example, my media player. So and then we'll leave the other options as it is and we'll click enter, click finish. We'll wait for it, and there we have the project. So we have fxml document controller, fxml document.fxml, and myMediaPlayer.java. So if you want to open the project using fxml scene builder, so what we'll do is we'll go on to myMediaPlayer. From the projects tab we'll search for myMediaPlayer, so we can type in myMediaPlayer. Here it is, and then we'll double click it. We'll go to source packages, myMediaPlayer, and this fxml document that you see, we'll right click it and we'll hit open, and we'll wait for it to open, and it will open up in scene builder. So now this is the current GUI that we have for our application. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and delete this using the delete key. So we'll delete this, we don't need it, and we'll delete this as well, we don't need that. So from the containers tab over here on the left, we will choose a border pane, or if you are unable to find it, you can just type it in the search bar and look for that. So border pane, we drag and drop it here, and we can change the size according to our own preferences by just resizing it, but for now I'll just keep it simple. So we choose border pane because border pane allows us to add contents based on every corner. So we can add contents to the top, bottom, right, left, and center. So we'll go ahead and search for stack pane. Here it is. We'll drag the stack pane and drop it to the center. So stack pane is basically a container that stacks elements one on top of the other. So the most recent element will be seen on top of the previous one. So what we are planning to do is we're basically going to have our media player with the controls on top of it. So that's why we chose stack pane. So that's what we'll do there. So once we have added the stack pane, we'll go ahead and search for media view. So this media view is essentially what holds, so we'll take the media view from there and drag it and drop it inside the stack pane. So we'll do like this. So here we have the media view. So essentially we need a media view in order for us to view a media. So we have added a media view there, and let's go ahead and also add a VBox for holding our buttons. So we'll add the VBox to as well to stack pane. So now that we have added the VBox, what we'll do is from the properties tab on the right hand side, you can see properties, and under the alignment section it says top left. So we want the VBox is basically for our to hold our buttons in the media player. So we'll make sure that we want the buttons to the bottom center and we'll align it that way, and we'll add another HBox to the VBox. Inside the VBox we'll add another HBox. So you'll understand why we are doing it later on, but for the time being just follow what I'm saying. So yeah, once we have the HBox right there, so click on the HBox, and now we come to the fun part. So search for a button. So type in, click here and then search button, and there you have a button. So just drag a button from here and then place it in, make sure you place it inside the HBox. So you can just drop it here, and this is our HBox. So yep, that's pretty much it. So this is our first button, and we can change the button name by double clicking on it or by going to the properties tab and changing the text from here. So we will make it choose file, we'll name it choose file. So this button we will be using for choosing a file. So the user will click on this button and he'll choose which file he wants to play. So for example, if he's playing a movie, he'll click on the movie and the movie will get started, so it will be playing. This is our button, and let's add some other buttons that we'll be using. So add another button. You can even copy paste buttons if you want. So you can right click, copy, and then right click, paste. So I think I pasted it at the wrong section, just delete it. Anyways, so this button we'll be using for play. So this will be our play button. We'll also have a button for pause. So we'll have a pause button, pause, and then we'll have a button for stop, stop button. We'll add another button for to slow down the seek rate of the video. Then we'll have a button to fast forward the video, and then we'll have a couple of buttons which will be used to skip 10 seconds or how many ever seconds you like. So for me, I'll choose plus 10 seconds, plus 10 seconds, or let's make it minus 10. Then we'll put first, then we'll put plus 10 as well. So this is minus 10, this is plus 10 seconds. So this is like how you have in YouTube, where you just click on the right arrow key and it skips 10 seconds forward or backward. This is what the button will be doing. So now these buttons seem kind of sticking together. So what we can do is we can select all of the button by pressing Control and selecting all the buttons one by one, and then we leave Control and we go to Layout, and under the Layout section you can see margins. So this is the left margin, and this is the left margin, and this is the right margin. So we'll change the margins, we'll make it 7, see how it looks, and even the left margin will make it 7. This looks much better right now. And if you want some top margin as well, we can give it that, so that it's not kind of like sticking on top. And yep, that's it. So, and we forgot the most important part of the media player, the volume and controls and the progress bar. So for that we'll use a slider. So we'll drag and drop a slider into the H box, and again we'll change the using the margins tab, we'll change the position and align it according to our needs. And we'll just select the buttons again, because adding the slider has kind of shrunk the button. So we'll reduce the margins, so we'll make the right margins as 0. So now it's much better. Or we'll make we'll select this button and we can make the right margin 5. So you can play around with the settings and find which settings work for you. That's totally up to you as to how you want to place the buttons and where and how. That's totally up to you. That's something that is not, something that can be changed according to the user's will. So once we're done with this, and the reason why we added an H box was a V box was because V box aligns the elements vertically, so one below another, and her H box, as you have seen, aligns elements from left to right, so one right next to the other. So if you want to add another slider for progress bar, we'll go on to V box and drop it there, but we don't want the V slider to be below the button. We need it to be on top. So we'll just do that. Not like this, drag it there, and nope, not like this. Go back and scroll. Or what we can do is we can, so now that we've got our slider aligned, we can do a couple of things. We can head on to the layout, the layout, and we can add margins to it, so that these two are not sticking together. So we'll say 10, so that we have some distancing between these two, and we can then choose the VBox and we can assign it a size. So let's say if we want the preferred height to be around 100, see what this does. Okay, change the minimum height as well, maximum height as well. No, this doesn't work. So we'll just choose the VBox and go to the alignment, bottom center, and we're fine with that. So now once we have done all this, we'll head on to our NetBeans and type the code to add some functionality to our GUI. And we'll go ahead and remove the pre-existing code from the, so we are under the fxml document controller, and under the handle button action we'll remove this code, or actually we'll just remove this entire thing, we don't need this, and we'll remove the label as well, we don't need that. And what we want to do is we want to select when we want the user, when the user clicks on the choose file button, we want something to happen. In order for that, we need to create a method for that. So we'll go there and we'll create a method, we'll say public void, and we'll give it a name. So we'll give it choose file, so we'll give it choose file method, and then we'll add parentheses and open and close curly braces. So now within this method we'll type in the code that we want to be run when the user clicks on the open file method. So let's create a file chooser. So we'll type in file chooser. So what this will do is it will allow you to choose, it will open a pop-up for you that will allow you to browse your computer and select the file that you want to open. So we'll say file chooser, we'll give it a name fc, you can name it anything, so we'll just name it maybe file chooser equals new file chooser, and the file chooser fnc should be capital, and we'll close the parentheses and we'll click and we'll enter the semicolon. Now it's giving us an error because we didn't import the file chooser. So there are two options, either you can click on this bulb icon and add import for javafx.stage.file chooser, or you could have clicked alt plus enter and this would have been done automatically. So one thing that we forgot is the parameters for the method. So whenever a button is clicked, an event or an action event is fired. So we'll give it a parameter of action event and we'll name it event. So now that we have our file chooser ready, what we'll do is we'll create a file. So because we need to have some file, so file, we'll name it something, let's say file equals file chooser, or we can press space and control plus space and it will automatically give us options file chooser, and then we can choose from them dot show open dialog. So now this will open up a window for us, like the dialog box that I was talking about. So this line of code right here will do that for us. So for the parameters we'll just give it null right now and we'll end the line with a semicolon. And again it's giving us an error for file because we didn't import it, so we'll hit alt enter and then add import for java.io.file, enter, and you can see the imports are added right on top. So you can add the imports manually as well, but this saves you some time. Okay, so now that we have that, now we want the path of the file. So Once we have done this, when the user clicks, let's say the dialog box is open and the user clicks on a file, we want to store the path of that file which the user selects into a kind of a variable. So we'll go on top and we'll create a variable right here. So we'll say private string, and string will be the type, it will be of type string, and we'll name it path semicolon. So we'll come here and inside our method we'll say path equals file. So this is the file that the user will select from the dialog box. So file dot to URI. So this will convert into a URI, and because our path variable is a string, we need to convert it to a string as well. So we'll say dot to string, and then we'll end the line with a semicolon, and yep, that's it. So let's try and run the code. So before running the code, let's go ahead back to our fxml and hit Control S, save it, or we can go from here and then save, but it's showing me as not clickable because I've already saved the file by hitting Control S. So let's go back to our media player and try and run the code. So you can run the code by clicking on this green arrow right here, or you can also run the code by simply hitting F6. So we'll run the code, we'll wait for it to compile. So it's compiling, we'll wait for it. So now oh yeah, this won't work. Okay, I'll tell you why. So see, whenever we click on choose file, nothing happens. We are expecting it to open up a file chooser for us, but it doesn't. So what we left over was, in the fxml file we have to click on choose file button, and then under the code section on the bottom right we have to set this on action. So on action means this method will be called whenever the user clicks or any action happens to that button. So over here we need to give the name of our method. So our method name was choose file, so we can see, type in choose file method. So this is done, and from the bottom left under the controller section we'll click the controller, and we need to select a controller class. So for us this is the only controller class that we have, my media player.fxml.document controller. So we'll choose this and we'll hit file, we'll save it, and then we'll go back to our NetBeans, and then we'll try running it again. So hopefully it works this time. So now that we hit choose file, so here we go, and now dialog box is open and we can go ahead and select whatever file we want to play. So let's choose video, open. So this we have not yet typed in the code for video to be played, but as far as the code that we have typed, it's working correctly. So let's go ahead and type in the rest of the code. So now what we need is to check if the path that we entered previously is correct or not. So what we can do is we can check if path is not, and this exclamation mark signifies not equals to null. So this is how we can check if the path actually contains something and it is not something null. So you can check that, and once we are assured that the path is not null, we can go ahead by typing in media, and we can name it anything. So I'll just name it media equals new media, and this media takes the path as a parameter. So we'll pass in the name of the path. So we'll type in path, this is the name, and this media will then go into the media player. So we'll create an media player right here. So we'll type in private media player, and note that the M and P need to be capital, media player, and then we can name it anything, that is up to us. So I'll just name it media player equal, we don't need to assign it, so semicolon there. So we'll assign it over here. So we'll say media media player, that whatever you named it. So media player equals new media player. Now this needs to be capital, and it will take an argument. So it will take a media as an argument. So we'll just type in the name of our media, which is media. And in case you get an error for media player, just import media player either by typing in this import javafx.scene.media player, or by hitting alt enter and adding an import automatically. So now that we have got media player, we need to add it to a media view so that we can view it. So if you remember, we added a media view to our scene builder. So we can go back to our scene builder, click on media view and give it an, under the code section we'll go to fx id. So we'll give it a fx id. So over here I have given it an fx id of media view. So you can go ahead and give it any name that you want, and then go back, save and go back to your fx your NetBeans. We'll just save it again. Save, it's already saved. We'll go back to NetBeans, and then in order for us to be able to access the elements from scene builder, we need to add the this annotation. So at fxml annotation, fxml need to be capital. So and then just below that we need to type in the name of the component. So private, like we did for the previous one, private, and it is a media view, and then the name of the media view. Now this name needs to be the same name as the one that we have given in the scene builder. So note that this name should be the same. So just to make sure, I'll just copy this name from here, go back to our media scene builder, and then paste it over here, just to make sure that everything's the same and we're on track. And then I'll head back to NetBeans, and then we'll add the media view, add our media player to our media view. So we'll say media view dot set media player, and then we'll give it the media player. And finally, just for checking purposes, we can say media player and whatever you named it earlier, media player dot play, and we can go ahead and test our application if it's running so far or not. Okay, we need to choose a file. We'll go ahead and choose a file, open it. So far, okay, so once we have done that, we can what we want to do is first let's add a couple of line of codes over here. So these lines of codes that I'll be adding right now are in order. So let's run the code again and I'll show you what I mean by these lines. So we'll choose the file again, we'll go to desktop, we'll choose the file, Windows, the inside that should be. So we'll add a couple of lines to solve this problem. So we'll add double property. We'll type in double property and we'll name it width property. Width prop equals, you can name it anything, media view dot fit width property. So what this will do is, this will make sure like the tiny screen in the center that we were getting before, this will make sure that the media view occupies the full width of its of the parent node. So we're getting an error because we didn't import it. So just add an import right there, and we can go ahead and copy this line again, because this is for width. We'll just do the same thing for the height as well, but we need to just change the names again. So height prop equals to, instead of fit width property, we'll make it fit height property. Make sure that the H is capital for that. And then, and as for the resizing of the window, we'll add the code for that as well. So we'll say width property, whatever you named it over here earlier, so that same name. So we'll just copy and paste it over here, width prop dot bind. So we are binding it to our parent, so that it's whenever the window is resized, it will resize accordingly. So we'll type in bindings dot select double, and over here we will give in media view. For the first argument, we'll type in media view dot scene property, and for the second argument we'll just type in within quotation marks as width. Again, we'll copy this line of code and do the same thing for okay, it didn't get copied, so we'll just copy it again, copy the line of code and we'll paste it here. We'll just do the same thing for height, and we'll change the names. So we'll copy this name and height property dot bind bindings dot select double, so media view dot scene property, and instead of width we'll just type in height. Okay, and then we'll simply say media player dot play, and let's check if our code is running properly right now. So run the project by either clicking F6 or by hitting this green icon, then choose a file. You can choose any file. I'll just for now, and we'll add functionality to the other buttons as well. So let's create some other methods. So let's just head out of this method. So make sure you head out of the choose file method parentheses. So after the parentheses, and we'll create some other methods. So what we want to do now is we want to create method for play, pause, stop, slower rate, fast forward, plus 10, minus 10. We want to create methods for these buttons as well. So we'll just go back to NetBeans, and there we'll create methods. So public void. So we'll start off by creating a method for the play button. Okay, so we'll name it play, and we'll follow the same syntax, parentheses and then open and close curly braces. So as you remember before, we'll give in a parameter as action event, and we'll name that event. So once we are done with it, these methods are super simple. You don't need to do any much coding. So because all the methods for play, pause, stop and everything are already existing there in the media player library. So what we need to do is we need to name this name of our media player. We need to type in the name. So media player in our case, go ahead, media player dot play. That's it. That's how simple it is. So we'll just copy this code, the entire method, and we'll paste it again, and for the pause button. So we'll just name it pause, and instead of media player dot play, we'll say media player dot pause, and we're done with this method. That's how simple it is. Again, we'll copy the same code again, and we'll do it for the stop method. So stop, and instead of media player dot play, it is media player dot stop. and we're done with that. Now, so we are done with play, pause and stop. So now we have the slow rate and the fast forward. So we'll go back and create methods for that. So we just copy that method again. So we can type in slow rate, and instead of media player dot play, we'll just simply say media player dot set rate. Now normally the rate of the video is 1. So if you want to slow down the video or slow down the video 2 times, so we'll just half the rate. So this will slow down our video. So we'll say 0.5, and we'll copy the same code for fast forward. So we can name it fast forward, and as we know that the actual rate is 1. So if you want to fast forward, I'll just make it double. That depends on you what you want, so I'll just make the rate double. Now we have done this, and now we want -10 and +10 seconds. We want these things. So we want when the user presses this button, it should go back 10 seconds, and when the user presses this button, it should add 10 seconds to the current position of wherever the video is running. So let's go there and let's type in the code. So again, you can copy or you can type it again, public void. I'll name this method skip 10 seconds and parentheses, and then open and close curly braces, and within the parentheses we have to type in action event. Okay, yes. And now what we need to do is we need to say media player, the name of our media player. So media player dot seek. So seek will seek to the duration that we wanted to seek to, but what we'll do instead is seek to a duration. Instead of giving it a duration manually, we want it to check the current duration where it is as and add 10 seconds to that duration. So we'll say media player dot get current time. So this will get the current position of the media. So let's say if the media play, the video is playing at 1 minute, so it will return 1 minute, and then what we'll do is we will say dot add. So we'll add 10 seconds because we wanted to add 10 seconds, so we'll add 10 seconds, but not like that because it is a duration. So we'll say duration dot seconds, and then we will pass in 10. Okay, that's how we do that. And similarly we'll copy this method for skipping 5 seconds, going by 5 seconds or 10 seconds backwards. So we'll say, we'll just name it back 10. So we'll just leave this code as it is, but instead we can just type, instead of 10 we can say -10. So this will go back 10 seconds from the current playing time. Okay, let's see which okay, so we're almost done with all the buttons. So now we don't forget one important thing, that now that we have created the methods, we want the actually add these methods to the on action button in our scene builder over here. So click on the buttons, so click on play button from here, and then head on to the on action button, and you will see a list. If you don't see a list, you can just type in the name of the method, that's fine. So we'll choose play from here. Then for pause we'll do the same, we can just type in pause. Okay, that's pause. Then stop, we'll just type in or choose stop from there. For slow rate we'll just choose the slow rate option. For fast forward we'll do the same. For -10 seconds we'll do back 10. For plus 10 we can say skip 10. Okay, and that's it. We'll just save this file and save. We'll go back to our NetBeans and we'll save this and run the project. So we'll open up, choose a file to open. We'll choose a file and pause the video. It is paused and we can play it and stop the video. So stopping is complete, it stops the video completely. We can exit the video. Close this, and under our play button we'll just type media player dot set rate and we'll set it back to 1. So let's say if you have increased or decreased the rate before, when you click on the play button again it will play it in the normal rate back. So yeah, and then we need to add the code for the sliders, the progress bar and the volume bar. So let's go on top to our we can add them anywhere, so we'll just go here below the code over here. So we'll just say before media player we'll say media player dot current time property dot add listener, and we'll remove this and we'll say new space change. Now if you press control and spacebar together you will get options, and then you can hit enter and it will come automatically, and hit enter again, and you will automatically get these auto generated code. So you don't need to type all this, and if it's not coming you can just type in the code from here, or I have put the code on GitHub as well. You can copy the codes from there if you want. So now what we want to do is we want to say if the value is changed. So if as we want to make the progress bar move as the video is progressing, so we'll say progress bar. But before doing that we need to go back to our fxml and click on the progress bar, and under the code section give it an fx id of progress bar and save it. It's already saved. Okay, we'll go back to NetBeans and again we'll follow the same method for accessing. So we'll say at fxml private slider, s should be capital, slider because it was slider, and this name should be the same as the one in the scene builder. So we'll just recheck that it's progress bar, and add an import for it. Go ahead and add import. That's done. Now we can just type in progress bar dot set value, and we can just type in new value dot 2 seconds. So what this code will do is it will get the value of the current that will get the current time from the media, and then it will move the progress bar according to the current time. So once we are done with this, we'll create some other methods. So we'll also say progress bar dot set on mouse mouse pressed. So what we are trying to do is, let's say if the user clicks somewhere on the seek bar, the video should seek to that duration. So we want to add that functionality. So we'll say progress bar dot set on mouse pressed, and then within the parentheses we'll say new event handler. So again you can press control and spacebar together to get options, and once you get that you can press enter, 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 and you will get this auto generated method. And remove this line which says throw new unsupported exception, remove it, and inside the parentheses curly brackets go ahead and type in this line. So media player dot seek. So seek to the duration of where the current value is. So I mean when the user clicks somewhere, seek to that duration. So what we'll say is duration dot seconds, and over here we'll give it a value. So progress bar dot get value. So it will get the value from the progress bar. So for example, wherever the user clicked on the progress bar, seek to that duration. And once we are done with that, we can just copy this method and okay, never mind. Okay, so we'll just copy this method and paste it here. Oh, what did I do? Copy it properly, yes, and paste it here. So yeah, instead of mouse pressed, we'll type in mouse dragged. So even if we drag on the seek bar, even if we drag on the progress bar, then also it should seek us to that it should take us to that duration. So we'll go ahead and run our code and see if it is working properly. So run this. It was already running. Close that. Choose file. Okay, let's choose a file. Even drag its duration. But one thing is so we need to set this on. So first let us add the functionality to the volume bar, and then we'll fix the progress bar as well. Or what we can do is we can fix the progress bar issue first. So we can say media player dot set on ready, and we'll give it new runnable, and then we'll again click control plus space and then enter. So now we've got auto generated code. We'll remove this line of code and we'll add duration duration equals, and no, we first need to name the our variable total equals media dot get duration. So this will get the total duration of whatever video or audio that we are playing. It will get us the total duration of that video. So now what we want to do is we want to set a maximum limit to our progress bar, so that the issue that was occurring before would not occur, so that the progress bar would only reach the end when it is actual end of the video. Okay, so we'll say progress bar dot set max, and then we'll give it total dot 2 seconds. So now if we run the program again and see, you'll notice that let us first run it and then we'll see. That is the actual end of the video. So let's type the code for the volume control as well. So hit enter and go back. Okay, so enter, and then now again we need to create an fx id for our volume label. So we'll go back to our scene builder and we'll click on the volume slider, and under the code section we'll give it as id. So we'll give it volume slider, and then I'll just copy this name and save the code, go back to NetBeans, and then if I want to access anything from scene builder, I need to use this notation. So we'll type it again at fxml and then the name of the variable itself, so private, and then it's a slider, so slider, and then the name that was given to it as an id in scene builder. So I'll just copy it, paste it, because I copied it from scene builder, and make sure you copy it to avoid problems in the future, because if the spellings are even different, then it won't work and you will be figuring out why it's not working. So just to make things run smoothly, just copy the name from the fx id there and just paste it in the code here. Okay, so now that we have got it, we'll say volume slider dot set value. So this will set the initial value of the volume. So we'll say media player dot get volume multiplied by 100. So this is this, and then we'll again say media volume slider dot value property dot add listener, and we want to make sure we choose the invalidation listener. Okay, and then new invalidate, just type in and then control and space and enter, 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 and now remove this line which says throw new unsupported exception, and okay, we'll remove this line, enter, and yes. So what we are trying to do over here is the same thing that we did for the progress bar. So whenever the user clicks or drags on the volume slider, the volume should get changed according to the position of the slider. So we are trying to do that code over here. So we'll say media player dot set volume and we'll set the volume by getting the volume from the volume slider. So volume slider dot get value divided by 100, because the values are usually from a 0 between 0 and 1, so we multiplied it by 100 and then we'll divide it by 100 to get back to between 0 and 1. So that's that. And now let's test it out and see if it works properly. Run the app, choose file, desktop, video playback, open. The progress bar, and all the other controls are working perfectly as well. So that's how you can make your own media player with JavaFX. Okay, so one more thing that might be of interest to you is that when you double click on the media player, you want it to enter into full screen like you do on YouTube and most of the other media players. So we can do that as well. So we'll go to mymediaplayer.java, we'll go there, and inside the start method, so where it says public void start, we'll go there and under the stage, and we can actually set a title for our stage. So where it says stage dot set scene, we can, before that we can say stage dot set title, and we can give it a title. We can say my Java media player, and this title would appear over here like this says media player. So when you run the program, it will say my Java media player on the top. So it says my Java media player over here. So whatever you want to name it, you can give it over here. Now what we want to do is when the user double clicks anywhere on the screen or on the media player, it should enter full screen. So we'll say scene, this is our scene dot set on mouse clicked, and the new event handler, again we'll say we'll enter control plus space, and we'll type in enter, or you can, if you don't get this option, you can just type in the code by looking at it, or you can download or clone the repositories from GitHub. I'll post the link in the descriptions. And now we'll add the code which does the full screen. So we'll say if, we'll check if the user has pressed the mouse twice. So we'll check the event, the name of our event from here, this is the name. So event dot get click count. So this will tell us how many times the user has clicked. So if the click count is equal to 2, then what we want to do is stage dot set full screen, and we'll give it a value of true. So this will check if the user clicks twice, then it will enter full screen mode. So let's run and try this code. So let's click on run and then choose a file for the media player. Over here, once we are done with everything, what we want to do is, we don't want to come every time to NetBeans to just use our application. We want it to have a an icon so that we can just click on it and then open and run our application. So let me show you how you can do this. So first of all, you need to go to your start menu and search for NetBeans projects. Click enter, go into your projects and search for the current project that you are working on. So my project's name is my media player. I'll go inside it, and then inside the dist folder, go into it, and then you will see mymediaplayer.jar. This file is an executable file that you can run your program with without going or coming into NetBeans. So let me just show you how. Double click on this and it works the same way. So everything will work as it was working on NetBeans. So let me show you this. So as you can see, all of the controls are same, everything is working perfectly, and you can keep this icon on your desktop and you won't need NetBeans to run this or use this icon. So you can just click this executable file and it will run your program. So I hope you liked the video, and stay home, stay safe. Thanks for watching the video.